they all been put out? Okay. And the first
And close the doors, please. Can we close the doors, please? Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 20th Annual New School Design Exhibition and Presentations. I think we need the cue cards like they do in live TV. I think that's what we need. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Dr. Brian Perkins, the director of the Summer Principals Academy here at Teachers College and the director of Programs and Education Leadership. This is such an exciting day for me, as always, every year. Our students started 14 months ago. That they came to our campus and they took a full first summer of courses and then engaged in an internship. The courses they had in their first summer included courses like Introduction to Leadership and Decision Making, courses like Conflict Resolution, and Self-Awareness Training and Social Emotional Learning. From there, they went on to take an internship in their home schools. They went back to their hometowns and engaged in a year-long internship. They came back to us in January during Martin Luther King Day weekend and engaged in a full weekend of courses where they learned who would be in the teams you would see today. And then over the course of the next 5 months, they engaged in monthly seminars with professional design thinkers and individuals that were experts in branding and design, and ended in June when they submitted their first draft of their proposals. Here in the second summer, they've engaged in courses that included ethical and legal issues in education, course in database decision making. And so the path has not just been straight, it's been bumpy, it's been curvy, and with some pit stops along the way, but they're here today. And so I think they deserve a round of applause. I've always been told you don't stand up and try to give thanks to people, but I always try to do that anyway. And so I'll give some thanks now and then some others. That's a future SPA graduate, by the way. And so I'm going to thank a few people now and then a few people later. First, I'd like to start with our distinguished faculty. And we actually have some people here with us that are on the faculty, and I see sitting in the back a very distinguished attorney and news broadcaster and professor extraordinaire. The applause is very well deserved for Dr. Laura McNeil, who teaches part of our instructional team for the ethical and legal issues in education. We have a host of people that are joining us, and I can't help but thank them that are watching, that have contributed this summer. Dr. Mark Gooden contributed for the same course this summer. Dr. Luis Horta. We also had a special seminar this summer that both cohorts enjoyed together. Dr. Ellie Drago-Sevison, who's here, but it would not all be possible without the support and encouragement that I received throughout the year of our entire faculty in ed leadership. And so a special thank you to those individuals. Also, a thank you to the administration that's here at Teachers College, that in the middle of all the crises that are going on in the world and in the country, that has stood by its purpose and the mission here at Teachers College with a very strong social justice mission. And so I am delighted and honored to be a part of a distinguished faculty that, despite the blowback that can happen in this age around social justice issues, that we are encouraged to keep up the good fight. And so a special thank you to the faculty that are out there doing that work. We have a lot of people behind the scenes, and so I have to give credit to members of our staff. I'll start with the Senior Program Manager, Dr. Elise Zakarian, who is here, and she has been instrumental in the work and making sure that this all goes well. We have Dr. Colette Young, who is the Assistant Director for Recruitment and Alumni Engagement here in New York City. We have a number of other people, including Shelby Jarvis, who is our Program Coordinator here in New York. And so just so many other people to thank, and I'll come back after the intermission and thank some other people. We also have with us, kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so to speak, our cohort, our rising cohort that started this summer. And let's hear it for the cohort for 2025. So really excited, and so now I'm going to introduce to you our judges. One of the things that you should know about this presentation that has been going on now for 20 years, just a quick word is that I will never forget when Summer Principals Academy was kind of birthed in the mind of my mentor and former director of Summer Principals Academy. His name was Dr. Craig Richards. He was my dissertation chair. And I was working at another university, and he called me and said, you got a second? I said, sure. And he said, I have an idea. And he went on to describe what would now become Summer Principals Academy. And so back then, he asked me to join in writing courses, and then he took it, did the yeoman's work of carrying it through the faculty and got it approved, got this innovative program. There was a summer intensive program approved through the faculty and the state of New York. And so I can't thank him enough for what he's done. He's now retired and living in upstate New York quietly, but let's please recognize Dr. Richards for creating this program. And so today we have with us 4 judges that are distinguished graduates of our program. And so I want to introduce them to you now. The first judge is Dr. Dawn DaCosta, Brooks DaCosta. And so she's currently the superintendent in Harlem Community District number 5. And so she, as I said, is a graduate of our program, and Dawn was so ahead of her time. She wrote a case in the course that I teach, and we've been using that case study ever since, and we still use that. So welcome, Dawn. Our next judge is Dr. Christy De La Cruz. Dr. De La Cruz is a community superintendent in the Upper East Side here in New York City. She's also an alum of the Summer Principals Academy. And I remember Christy was a teacher straight from Kansas and came to New York City, and now is a area superintendent, and was my doctoral student, came back and became my doctoral student in the Urban Education Leaders Program, of which also Dawn is a graduate as well. So let's welcome Christy. Next we have Lakeisha Ramhani, and right now, and Lakeisha is the Chief of Staff for KIPP Atlanta, a proud Spelman alumna, and a graduate of SPA in the program in New Orleans, and this is her first year with us, and so happy to have you. Welcome, Keisha. And last but not least, another graduate from our program in New Orleans is Brad Scott, who is currently the K-8 principal of a really large online academy in South Carolina, but was the former CEO of prep schools in Tennessee and kind of hails from Chattanooga, but also did a stint down in TFA in the Rio Grande Valley. So welcome, Brad. Glad to have you. So now, I know you are tired of hearing from me, and so our first school that we have that's going to join us this morning, and I want you to welcome them with a big round of applause, Quest Academy. So welcome to Quest.
Good morning. We are Quest Academy, and I am the principal, Eunice Kelly, and this is my team.
I'm the Dean of Curriculum and Instruction, Josh Vargas.
Aisha Carvalho, Director of Special Populations.
Jada Tute, Director of Community Engagement.
Nasir Tobias, the Dean of Culture.
Maria Sherrado, Director of CTE.
Julian Aquilino Romero, Director of Operations.
Quest Academy is located in the heart of Corona, Queens, where the current population is over 100,000 residents. 66% of those residents are foreign-born. This is extremely important to Quest Academy because we embrace the cultural diversity and lived experiences of all of our students and families. So we went deep inside the community in Corona, and we asked the families, what do they need from a new school? They told us they wanted safety. That's what Quest Academy is going to provide. They also told us that many students travel over 50 minutes to get to their high schools. That's super far. Additionally, there are over 4,000 eighth graders in the district of 24, and 24% of those residents are under the age of 18. So we thought this was the perfect location for a high school.
Quest Academy is on a journey to building a healthier community, one empowered learner at a time. Our high school deepens our scholars' passion for public health and wellness through our career, hands-on training, and support. Through hands-on learning and support, Quest scholars become compassionate leaders who strive to make their communities healthier and for future generations to come. So I'm excited for you guys to see how this comes alive.
Meet Esme. Say good morning, Esme. Good morning, Esme. Jada, can you tell us a little bit more about Esme?
I sure can, Nasir. Esme is an 8th grade student who's 13 years old. She's a first-generation Colombian American who really enjoys hanging out with her big brother, Edward. Edward's actually about to go to college in a few weeks. Congrats, Edward. And Esme and Edward, they spend so many nights talking about their futures. Esme, she's still not sure what she wants to do once she graduates or when she gets older, but she does know that she's really passionate about giving back to her family and the community. So she's super excited to begin her journey at Quest Academy.
So Esme is only 13 years old. I invite you all to think back to when you were only 13 years old. Did your community have the resources to provide you all that you needed to reach your goal? Well, at Quest Academy, we do. We plan to provide CTE cohorts through our pit stops where Esme is surrounded by like-minded individuals where she can ideate and practice together. Our second pit stop is dual enrollment, where Esme is able to get college credits so she can attend post-secondary school if she chooses and save over $20,000. Our third pit stop is public health, so Esme can go back directly in her community and make it healthier.
So let's talk about the stats. Students living in Queens show the highest level of CTE interest. In fact, 89% of those students choose CTE programs as one of their top choices. Why the house model? Well, students who concentrate their CTE coursework graduate at a whopping 21% versus their regular traditional CTE model.
Let's see this house model come to life. In freshman year, Esme will experience all 5 of Quest Academy's houses: exploration, quality of life, urban wellness, societal health, and technological rehabilitation. During the exploration period, Esme will be surrounded by fellow 9th graders, all exploring and navigating their path. This journey will take 3 different forms. First, self-exploration. Second, house exploration. And third, house initiation. During her first round of house exploration, Esme finds herself in the Quality of Life house, where she practices taking vitals with aspiring nurses and healthcare managers. During her second rotation, she practices manipulating anatomical models with fellow radiologists and occupational therapists. In her third experience with the Societal Health House, Esme volunteers for a farmer's market right outside of Quest Academy's doors, blending an interest in public health and nutrition. Finally, Esme finds her forever home in the Urban Wellness House as she creates a community action plan that is set in motion. Caught between 2 options for her concentration, she ultimately chooses public health.
So let's talk a little bit about how Esme starts her day. Sometimes she comes to school at 9 a.m. for breakfast. It's 20 minutes. It's optional, so sometimes she chooses to come, sometimes she doesn't. But something that's really cool that Esme really loves about Quest Academy is that there's a late start model. We start school at 9:25 a.m. I know this is unheard of, right? Kind of. But research shows that students who start school later than 8 and 8:30 a.m. have a better chance at retaining the information throughout the school day.
Let's unpack Esme's life at Quest. In 9th grade, Esme makes her first pit stop with public health, where her core curriculum is interwoven with public health. In ELA, she reads articles about health disparities and learns how to advocate for health justice. In global history, she reads about health systems around the world, and she brings in her cultural background from Colombia and how they have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. In 10th grade, Esme makes her second pit stop with CTE cohorts, where she's chosen to concentrate in the Urban Wellness House. She's working towards her certification to become a community health worker. By the end of her 11th grade year, she will have her certification and she can join the workforce if she chooses to. If not, in 11th grade, she's at her third pit stop, dual enrollment, when she's taking college courses at LaGuardia Community College, concentrated in public health. She's also interning at Queens Community House, co-facilitating vaccine drives and providing surveys to families to see what they need. In 12th grade, she used to showcase all the things that she learned along the way. At Quest Academy's very own health needs assessments and providing seniors with the resources that they need in their community.
Regents diploma in hand, Esme has options. Her first option is to take the credits she's accumulated during CUNY College Now and transfer them over to any 2- or 4-year degree granting institution. Her other option is using her field experience from 10th through 12th grade. She has earned a community health worker license. She is free to join the workforce should she choose.
We know Esme will continue to be successful through the quarterly review of her individualized student plan. Each quarter, we will review her grades and academic progress against her dual enrollment track credits in the Urban Wellness House. Next year, she will begin completing her 7.5 credits at CUNY College Now program. So the 4 assessments that we are going to review to give us a comprehensive review of our student success are NWA MAP, Regents exams, formative and summative assessments, and our portfolio-based assessments for our CTE and dual enrollment students.
As you can see, we are trying to build our students community one student at a time. So in order to drive student success, we also have to prepare our teachers. So as principal of Quest Academy, my focus is not just my students, but it's also my teachers. So we will have whole staff PLCs. We'll have a whole summer institute where we can pre-plan our schedules and program needs for our students. And we will plan CTE teachers. Do you know what CTE teachers mean? Career Technical Education teachers. So our whole summer, we have to make up all these plans and preparations so our teachers could be successful. And my dean here will explain more.
In addition to what Principal Kelly just said, we will perform quarterly curriculum audits, as well as having daily data-driven instructional meetings. And there's also optional College Now free professional development from CUNY for teachers who are interested in becoming CUNY-approved adjunct professors. If we take a little bit of a deeper dive into the PD, we can see that all teachers have at least 45 minutes of planning and preparation time daily.
So rooted in the data-wise improvement process, our teachers will receive data training daily, weekly, and quarterly because we believe that data must be analyzed, interpreted, and collaboratively acted upon in order to track our student success.
Teachers also have frequent daily team meetings, and they also have weekly whole staff PLCs led by myself and Principal Kelly.
What a day at Quest Academy. Building healthy communities one scholar at a time. We have decided to also build in a wellness lab. As you can see, whether it's creating school-based mental health clinics or taking on media companies, Governor Hochul has separated a grant for all New York City schools to be able to develop a comprehensive plan for their schools. And one of these plans are also available for the Jimenez family, and our community outreach will explain more.
Yes, so the Jimenez family, Esme's parents currently are uninsured and they're also undocumented. So they have acquired thousands of dollars in medical bills, and they have acquired thousands of dollars in medical bills. Similarly to 50% of the families in the community are on Medicaid, and 33% of our residents are uninsured. So because of this, Quest Academy, decided to open up that lab. And Esme's family thought this was the perfect place for them to help meet their health needs.
Our community outreach said Health Academy, and it's kind of like a health academy because in year one, we are opening a wellness lab. And this wellness lab is not just for our students and staff members, it's also for our teachers. In this wellness lab, we will have community-driven health and emotional well-being classes. Our students will be able to go in the morning if they decide to go in the morning. Throughout the day, the teachers will be able to have a space where they can relax, meditate because it's a long day. And then our families will be able to come in and receive the resources they need from our community partnership. And our community outreach director will explain more.
Yeah, so we've partnered with a few organizations, one being Urban Health Plan and Queens Community House. These organizations will provide physical exams, mental health screenings, and anything that the families may need. And again, if you're uninsured, no worries, we got you. In addition, the Oyate group helps with paid internships for our students, those who are documented, for all students, especially our students who are foreign-born and undocumented.
Aside from a wellness lab, we have also decided to allocate money for a health lab. In this health lab, our students will be able to earn their certifications, practice their dual enrollment classes as well, and have field experience. In the health lab, they'll be able to have medical equipment where they can be able to practice what they've learned. Our CTE teachers will also be placed there with certifications so that they can help the students be able to achieve the needs that they need to be able to be successful in their field. And this is all done through Elmhurst Hospital and LaGuardia Community College.
So we've talked a lot about the things that Quest Academy has to offer, and so we got to talk about money. So year one, our theme is getting started, right? 72% of our budget will be allocated to our personnel, and so we got to make sure that that personnel is also supported. So that's why we've allocated some money to develop our teacher leaders. We are also allocating money to providing our students with high quality classrooms with Promethean boards and providing funding towards that wellness lab. And last but not least, that summer conference to make sure we're laying the foundation for Quest Academy scholars. Year 3, the theme is material investment. Again, most of our budget is on personnel, but this year, we'll be allocating money towards paying for those student certifications because those CTE certification exams and preparation can be expensive, so we want that to be cost-free for our students. And we'll be starting or breaking ground on our health lab. And last but not least, allocating some money towards professional development so that each teacher has a budget for differentiated development. And then we finally get to year 5 where we complete our vision and we are fully staffed. Again, 63% will be allocated towards our personnel. We'll also be fully staffed, which means we'll have guidance counselors, college advisors that will help support our students in Quest Academy and beyond. Our health lab will finally be complete. And we'll be providing those loyal Quest teachers some retention bonuses as well.
As you can see, every Quest scholar, regardless of their pathway, will experience a robust educational system and be able to be successful whichever path they choose. Starting with field certification, dual enrollment, which means they take classes or continue to take classes after they leave us, field internships, where they're able to practice what they're learning and be able to stay in school, and community capstone. Pave your path, drive your future, your Quest starts here. We are Quest Academy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for responding to the needs of the families and students in Corona, Queens. My first question is just about that. So our families, certainly in Corona, Queens, are experiencing a very different lifestyle politically in this political climate. And many students and families are feeling unsure and unsupported, afraid. And also our students are not coming to school as much as they have been in the past for fear of that. So you talked a lot about wellness and how you're supporting students. And so what is your plan to support students in this current political climate?
Thank you for that question. So our partnership with the Oyate Group and other organizations helps us in our wellness lab. We have certain tables set up where families can come for legal counsel, like they get advice on, what they can do in these tough times. And we are open for all of our families to come to the lab to experience those resources.
And we've also developed a student individualized plan where we can reach students' individual needs. It's kind of sort of like an IEP, but it's based on their academic, their social, and their well-being. So the advisory teachers will be able to sit one-on-one with the students throughout the semester to be able to make sure that we reach their holistic development.
And just lastly, to echo that sentiment, when we did speak to residents of Corona, they echoed the same exact thing. Safety was an issue. I think every single family we spoke to, no matter the age, cited safety as the number one issue, whether in schools or in the community. We also believe that the house system does that a bit unintentionally. It's sort of a secondary response to the house to the safety concerns. Students will have a group throughout their entire high school career.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Along those lines, I was wondering if you could speak to the interventions and/or supports. We know on a multitude of circumstances that our students don't always come in prepared to do all of the things that we're requiring of them. And so I was wondering if someone could speak a little bit about what those supports would look like.
In our schedule, we have pre-blocked a intervention block where teachers are able to support students with their academic needs. So as students are revising or reviewing their academic plans with their teachers, the teachers are able to see what needs they need. And we will be using the Panorama Education. They have interventions already set aside that are free online to meet the students' need in every subject, in every area, behavior, academic, and even absenteeism. So during that intervention block, there's also enrichment. So students that need specific supports, the teacher will be supporting them there. And students that don't need support, but they need to do something beyond academics, the teacher will also be, they will be grouped there to give them what they need.
Thank you. And thanks again for mentioning that. And I appreciate how you also touched upon the attendance, because the other component, just as my colleague mentioned, is like how the attendance, engagement, and the impact that can have on learning, how that's so important.
That was one of the reasons why we decided to program our school this way. Research shows that a lot of students drop out of high school because there's nothing tied to them after school. So if they do something during the daytime that's tied to something that they do after school, they're more willing to stay and finish their programming.
I'd also like to add in, like my colleague Jada mentioned, the late start model is pretty intentional in that. Aside from the research she cited, many of our students we know are either working already or happen to be secondary caregivers within their families. So the 9 to 4 makes practical sense as much as it does psychological sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, can you all hear me? Okay. Thank you for the intentionality. It definitely seems as though you all were intentional about creating a community school that was addressing specific needs in that community. So thank you for your intentionality there. My question is rooted in the investment that you all are planning to make in developing your teachers as well as your scholars. Specifically, how will you know that you're successful in year one? What quantitative and qualitative metrics will you be analyzing to ensure that you're on the right track in meeting the intended outcomes that you are put into place?
Yeah, in terms of academics, we are looking at District 24's averages and making sure that we're on pace or outpacing those existing numbers. As far as community engagement, we're new players on the field. We are intentional about our community outreach and engagement. And so our community outreach coordinator will be surveying to see that at least 80% of our stakeholders are responding positively, both internally in terms of students and faculty, and external stakeholders, including families as well.
Thank you.
Great job on everything that was mentioned already, but I particularly loved how you all painted a great picture of a day-to-day for a student. I thought it was very intentional, well thought out, so great job in that area. My question is around the budget. Year one, your enrollment goal is not met. What contingency plans do you have in place if you don't get the full funding and are able to fund all the programs you're promising families?
In short, self-sacrifice. The first thing that would go are administrators. And so we want to preserve Miss Eunice Kelly. We need her, she's leading us. But in terms of roles, we have a plan where we would cut ourselves down first. I would be deemed redundant personally as director of CTE. That would be taken over and absorbed by Josh. In terms of programming, we're already running very slim with instruction. So we're supporting the core subjects and then the exploration house that is taught by me, period only. And Josh doesn't have instructional duties and would take that on. So I think leadership is the first to go. And in terms of programmatic options, things would start getting blended.
And in terms of the planning year, we have allocated some money towards marketing and promotion of our school. So hopefully to be proactive versus reactive.
And we've spoken to a few of our staff members, like our community outreach, who is also would be pursuing her teaching degree. So she's working as a para, and then we would give her the 2 positions and a stipend to continue working for our community.
For Quest Academy.
Bienvenidos a la Academia Mosaic. Welcome to Mosaic Academy, our K through 5 elementary school. Meet our founding monarchs.
I'm Angeline Alberga, STEAM specialist.
I'm Dante Cotton, the culture and community coordinator.
I'm Heather Moy, dual language specialist.
I'm Anna Campbell, our instructional coach.
And Mary Eve Theodore, our principal. Our mission at Mosaic Academy, we cultivate community through STEAM and dual language learning, working together to build a future where everyone thrives. Our vision is transforming the next generation into community-centered problem solvers.
So why Bed-Stuy? We chose Bed-Stuy for its families, for its business partnerships, and for its schools. This is why we have chosen to co-locate with MS 267 because of its close educational values of math, science, and technology. We are also proud to be the first STEAM and dual language elementary school in Bed-Stuy.
So, why Bed-Stuy? Why not Bed-Stuy? Look at all of the community advantages, which provide the community members opportunities to make connections with each other, offer mutual support, reciprocity, and mutual aid. It is out of the Bed-Stuy community that activism has arisen in the past to deal with systemic inequalities. Speaking of the system, it's operating just as it is designed. And you can see here that the rent in Bed-Stuy has been pushing out one of its most valuable resources, its people, Blacks and Hispanics. We went into the community because the goal of our school is to cultivate community. The community has spoken. They want science, they want engineering, they want music, they want art. And through these initiatives, it builds time for communication and collaboration, out of which can come solutions to problems people face all over the world.
So why Mosaic Academy? Mosaic Academy will be a groundbreaking school that cultivates community through our STEAM and dual language learning program. And must I repeat, our first STEAM integration and dual language learning school in Brooklyn, New York. We aim to unite Bed-Stuy's cultural diversities into a strong asset-based learning environment where language is celebrated as a tool for empowerment. We know that we can transform Bed-Stuy into innovation, community involvement, and just build cultural understanding and just change the trajectory for those implicit biases between Hispanics and Blacks, bringing everyone together and making sure that we break down systemic barriers and the cycles of poverty. We know that through our robust STEAM integration and dual language learning program, we will achieve that at Mosaic Academy. Look at this data here. This data highlights that Hispanics and Blacks are disproportionately disadvantaged and underrepresented in STEAM occupations. While Blacks and Hispanics hold 50% of the population, they only hold 20% of the occupations in STEAM fields. We know that if we intentionally implement our STEAM curriculum at an early age, starting in kindergarten, that our students will have a creative and inclusive STEAM workforce. District 16, where we are currently located in Brooklyn, New York, has the largest distribution of STEAM funding, over $1 million of STEAM funding. We want to leverage that as an advantage and implement it and start it early for our youth. This data shows this is problematic. Our students in District 16 in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York are performing at a 44% proficiency rate in math. Additionally, they're performing at a 25% proficiency rate in science. We know that at Mosaic Academy, the way we intentionally design our curriculum, we will change this and set up our scholars for success. And lastly, I leave you to show that District 16's English language learners are underperforming consistently in compared to their non-ELL peers. With our robust STEAM integration and with our dual language model, we know that we can lift those scores for our ELL students to exit at a higher rate.
At Mosaic Academy, we aim to cultivate community through STEAM integration and dual language learning.
We will know we are successful when students grow 1.3 years or more in both reading and math, in Spanish and English, when students show 85% mastery on the next generation science standards, and when we see attendees at all of our community events proportionally represent Bed-Stuy's unique demographics.
At Mosaic Academy, we have 3 educational models. The first represents dual language. There are 2 philosophies that guide this model: biculturalism and culture, both embedded in our great first aid curriculum, which values linguistic and cultural appreciation. Next, we have the inquiry-based learning model, which is going to represent our STEAM initiative, guided by a philosophy of constructivism, which believes in students building knowledge with their teachers, not the teachers always leading the way. And then third, we're going to support our students with and without disabilities using our ICT model, so both groups of students can benefit from personalized, differentiated instruction.
At Mosaic, we know that multilingualism is a powerhouse and a strength of Bed-Stuy. That's why we're adopting a 50-50 dual language model, where students are receiving English instruction one day and Spanish instruction the next, in a 2-week cycle like right up here. Students are using the same bilingual curricular materials one day to the next, just like this math notebook, Cuaderno de Matemáticas. We also know that research shows conversation, structured and unstructured, is pivotal to language learning. That's why at Mosaic, we're providing multiple blocks throughout the day for students to practice conversations in English and Spanish.
At Mosaic Academy, we are implementing a unique thematic unit program called the Great First Eight. This interdisciplinary curriculum supports instruction across all contents because research shows that when our earliest learners engage in thematic learning, their reading comprehension improves, they have increased vocabulary acquisition, and their problem-solving skills are better able to be applied across contents. This also supports with our 50-50 dual language model, as when students are engaged in vocabulary, explicit vocabulary content across languages, they have a better comprehension overall. This curriculum addresses all standards, as we will see here. Meet Cameron. Cameron is a kindergartner at Mosaic Academy. His class is currently engaged in the domino effects unit. This unit addresses cause and effect, chain reactions, and applies these throughout all parts of the day, such as in reading and writing, when his class is learning about cause and effect through story, but then also writing about writing instructions step by step about their chain reaction machines that they've built during their collaborative science period. They use that chain reaction machine to think about more and less and write word problems in math. And finally, his favorite part of the day, when Cameron gets to go during community connection to the Stuyvesant Gardens Senior Center and meet with his buddy and talk with him about how do you use ramps in your daily life, and invite him back into our school to share what his teammates built in their chain reaction machine.
Meet Ainsley. Ainsley has diverse learning needs and is in an ICT class where she's receiving small group targeted instruction. Ainsley's favorite block of the day is Makerspace, where we're using the Engineering is Elementary STEAM curriculum. Students are engaging in real-world problems and finding dynamic solutions. Ainsley's favorite unit was the Water Conservation unit.
Conozca a Ezra. Ezra es un estudiante de tercer grado que acaba de venir de Colombia. Y a Ezra disfruta conectando con su comunidad, cuando está platicando con sus amistades, explicando tradiciones de su cultura. También a Ezra le encanta escribir en español cuando está reforzando lo que él sabe, también como igual en inglés.
Ezra benefits from reading tutoring. We have determined that he is performing slightly below grade level in reading in his native language of Spanish. So he's engaging in our tutoring program, where at Mosaic Academy, we embrace community through our parent tutor program. His mom is actually helping us at school. Ezra gets to read every day in a small group using the Estrellita Spanish phonics curriculum to ensure that he is progressing to perform reading on grade level. This program also supports our parents in financial success because Ezra's mom has decided after engaging in our parent tutoring program that she wants to continue her own educational journey. She's going to partake in our parent education stipend program. So after school, she is receiving a stipend from Mosaic Academy to obtain her teaching certificate at Medgar Evers University down the road. We will measure our progress using the iReady diagnostic assessment system in reading and math in both Spanish and English. This will tell us what gaps students have in their instruction, as well as support us in measuring our growth towards 1.3 years of every student. Additionally, students culminate their learning of every thematic unit in a hands-on project that we share intentionally with the community, such as in our Arts in Motion unit, where our second graders will build a mural after they've studied community art in Bed-Stuy and share this mural at the Bedford Public Library. They will also write instructional manuals that tell the community the step-by-step process and the properties of matter they used to build their community murals.
Next, let's take a look at cultivating our partnerships. Our partnerships cultivate the community, excuse me. Our partnerships cultivate the community academically and economically. These are a few of our community partnerships. Now let's take a closer look at one. Here we have City Growers. City Growers helps us cultivate the community in several ways. The first is through our farm field trips. This allows our students to learn the science of food sustainability. Next, we have our youth apprenticeship programs, which helps us collaborate with MS 267 in order to learn about environmental literacy. And lastly, we have our family farm days, which allow us to let our students engage in the business practices to sell their food back to the community. Now let's take a look at our hiring model. So Mosaic's hiring committee engages in strategic partnerships with universities, alternate route programs, and the community. First, we have Medgar Evers, their LEAP and GATE programs. These programs offer stipends to bilinguals to continue their education. Then we have the New York City Teaching Fellows, which is an alternate route program, which allows us to recruit bilingual career changers. And then lastly, we have the dual language high schools, which we hope to visit to build capacity for our bilingual students who wish to become educators in the future. We mentioned earlier about our parent tutoring program. This is a key to turnkeying our resources in the community and helping them by providing a stipend to them. And also, we plan on to incentivize them to continue their education so that hopefully they will become bilingual certified educators. Now let's take a look at our professional developments. We will be using the DataWise data literacy protocol to develop our teachers using the Great First 8 and the Engineering is Elementary protocols. The Engineering is Elementary curriculums. We will be using the dual language instructional rubric and the Danielson framework in order to gauge their progress. We will also take time out to make sure that each of our teachers and our students are celebrated at every step of the way.
Now let's look at our resource allocation model. As you can see, in year one, most of our revenue is from per pupil funding, but we also want to highlight our STEAM funding, both from the district and from charitable organizations. And then year one, our expenses, our largest expense is personnel and professional development because we care about our people. Now let's look at the 5-year resource allocation model. As you can see, again, most of our money is spent on our people. So this, in year one, is our bilingual faculty who will be implementing our dual language program. We really want you to focus on our parent tutors, where we've set aside $40,000 for the bilingual certification. And this is our STEAM faculty. We're slowly building it out, and when we're at scale, we'll have art, makerspace, and a STEAM specialist.
At Mosaic Academy, if we engage the students of Bed-Stuy in a Spanish-English immersion program built on STEAM principles, then we will see multilingualism increase, math and science proficiencies improved, and critical thinking skills developed, which leads to improved financial opportunities and a more integrated comunidad in Bed-Stuy.
Mosaic Academy.
A las pequeñas, gran impacto. Small wings, big impact.
Thank you, Mosaic. Always appreciate the intentionality and advocacy for our multilingual community, and I really appreciate the emphasis on our parents and lifting and elevating them. My question is really around the 50-50 model. I applaud you for, I think every dual language program aspires to have a 50-50 model. And so I was wondering if you could speak to what happens when a lot of our children and or families are not at the proficiency level that we think they will be in both languages.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. So because we're community focused, we're hiring parent tutors, not just for tutoring, but also for our after school language camp. So if students are not meeting the standards for either English or Spanish during tutoring, we're using the Estrellita and also Recipe for Reading, intentional phonics programs. And then during after school language camps, they're having more intensive language tutoring. And then also during the summer, we're also offering language camps.
To echo what my colleague said, also in our tutoring block, we will also have that remediation to help them improve towards the Spanish. And additionally, when they are doing it 50-50, it's aligned through the curriculum. So the curriculum that they're learning in English will be reinforced in Spanish and in English simultaneously throughout the week. So that will also help soar the improvement.
Thank you. I would just add just something to consider just from the work that I've done is you might want to think of secondary diagnostics beyond iReady, because sometimes iReady is not going to really identify what the actual problem is.
So we do have part of our curriculum in our progress monitoring. We have systematic rapid assessments, which are all based on foundational literacy and numeracy. And so those occur more frequently. iReady is our benchmark, and then those will be assessed more frequently throughout the school year, depending on the tier of the performance of the student. So if a student is performing significantly below grade level, we would be assessing them on nonsense word fluency, phonological awareness, decoding of CVC words, and then the matching in Spanish. So on syllables, being able to understand their letter sound identification in both languages on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Thank you.
I loved how you all used data at the beginning of your presentation to really back up the academic need and the comparisons and using data to guide your model. So great job on that. What does your recruitment plan look like during your planning year? all the way up to opening. Similar question as earlier, to ensure you hit your recruitment target on day one. That's going to drive your revenue.
So you're asking about student recruitment?
Yes.
Okay.
What's your recruitment plan?
Yeah, so during our planning year, we plan to have booths in Bed-Stuy. We're also partnering with preschools around the area. And we are located across from NYCHA, Stuyvesant Gardens. So we're going to recruit from there. And we'll also be trying to talk to superintendents of apartment buildings near us to see if there are eligible children. And if we don't meet our recruitment target by May of year 0, then we plan to recruit outside of District 16.
I just want to add that we're not. There's also District 23 and District 13 that are residents of Bed-Stuy that might not necessarily be a part of District 16. So in our application, we're not just subjected to just District 16 only. And as Heather also mentioned, my colleague Heather, we also have a plethora, about 4 Head Start early childhood programs in the vicinity. And we're also co-located in a middle school that also has 4 schools inside, another elementary school as well.
Thank you for that as well. Just sharing again to my colleague's point, thank you for your emphasis on academics and the schedule and how your schedule is modeling your expectations and your priorities. You have many priorities. And so the question that I have is sort of around the science of reading. And you talked a little bit about that. It's certainly very important now. Certainly in New York City, you emphasize District 16 and the current proficiency rates. And so my question is, what does good teaching look like at your school?
Good teaching at our school looks like a teacher that is invested in our culture of collaboration and teamwork, not working in isolation, but being willing to learn from other teachers and use best practices and best strategies. Someone who is adaptable, someone who is supportive of not only the community in the school, but also the community outside of the school. Because to be a teacher at our school means that every single child is going to succeed, and you as the teacher, you are charged with that mission, because that child can come back in the future and sow seeds in their community. We want to keep Bed-Stuy the rich, flourishing community that it is.
So before you go on, I want to just clarify instructional practices. What are the best practices that you talked about?
So we will be implementing the Great First Aid curriculum, and through that model, this is a thematic unit approach, and there are actually built-in professional development series that are available for all staff. So we will be trained and then turneyed to our staff about how to implement these thematic approaches. Foundational literacy, as we know, the science of reading, it is explicit instruction. So although the rest of the day looks more hands-on and we're collaborative, we know that strong teaching in our school will ensure that explicit phonics instruction occurs daily. We also have, during that tutoring block, as the instructional coach, I will be working directly with our parent tutors and our teachers to model best practices when it comes to foundational standards, and using different frameworks through the Great First Aid curriculum, rubrics, as well as the Charlotte Danielson framework to coach in professional cycles to improve instruction over time. That foundation of foundational literacy skills will be part of our summer institute, because we know that many teaching programs do not preface and do not state the importance of the science of reading. So we need to guarantee that all of our teachers understand the foundations of reading.
family, good morning. Can you hear me now? Good morning. Hi, I am Malika Bryan Goodwin. I am the founding principal.
Good morning, my name is Kirill Alverdian and I'm the assistant principal.
Good morning, my name is Natalie Robb and I am the founding teacher of humanities.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Emma Kojado and I'm a dean of culture.
Good morning, I'm Ariel Sachs and I am the literacy lead and ENL coordinator.
Good morning, I'm Chinam Sewek and I'm the special education teacher.
Good morning, my name is Tahira Grandison and I'm the mathematics teacher.
And we are
Elevate Academy.
Elevate Academy is located in the Park Heights section of Baltimore, Maryland. This neighborhood is similar to Harlem and it's rich in history, rich in culture, and rooted in family traditions. Unfortunately, they have experienced disinvestment and high crime rates. But just like our neighborhoods here in New York City, the families remain proud and powerful. The current mayor of Baltimore is rebuilding the Park Heights neighborhood. He is pouring into the economic district. He is reducing the crime rate with his Safe Streets initiative, and he is reopening the Park Heights Library that has remained closed for over 20 years. Why us? Currently, Baltimore has 4 middle school options that require Park Heights students to travel more than 45 minutes in order to attend. The 2 closest neighborhood schools that most Park Heights residents do attend, K through 8, have low performance rate. They are underperforming. 5% proficiency rates in ELA, 8% proficiency rates in mathematics. This is unacceptable. It's time for us to elevate in Park Heights. Elevate Academy of Park Heights empowers students to become agents of change in a safe exploratory learning environment that fosters academic excellence through kindness.
Whew, 5 and 8% proficiency rates. Also heard they have this thing called Safe Streets Initiative. We needed to figure out what was going on in Park Heights. So we took a trip. We went to Park Heights. We talked to families. We talked to students. We talked to community members. We met up with the Langston Hughes Community Center to figure out what was going on. We asked the question, what do you see in your schools? What goes well and what doesn't? And these are some of the things that resonated with our parents, families, and community members. At the core of all of this, at the epicenter was they were lacking kindness. So at Elevate Academy at Park Heights, we have collaborated with families, with students to see what does it feel like to have a kind school. So the parents said a warm hug when you walk in, get that warm and fuzzy feeling. They said it's a handshake and a high five. The students said it's a head nod. It's a yerp. And it's also a restorative conversation after a fight. At Elevate Academy at Park Heights, we understand the importance of kindness. Kindness is at the center, at the core of all human interactions with oneself, with the Park Heights community that we serve, and with the world. Our instructional model is underscored by the development of kindness. Our students will learn that through kindness, or through the practice of kindness, they can develop these skills. They spend some time throughout the day in our kindness lab utilizing skills that focus on how to have external takeaways, right? It's the difference between SEL and kindness. SEL is more internal work. Take some time to do that. Our parents said they need safety to and from schools. So our students are getting tangible skills right now that they can use to implement, practice, and be safe. Now, how will we do that? Through the exploration of our big rocks.
At Elevate, we plan to weave kindness through our 3 big rocks: the exploration of self, the exploration of careers, and exploratory learning. What does kindness look like to you? Is it a handshake? Is it a smile? Is it a nod? At our school, we plan to elevate kindness. We've designed 3 metrics: considerate communication, intentional interactions, and compassionate decision-making. How does this happen? At our first rock, the exploration of self, students develop agency, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. We've intentionally designed a kindness lab. Kindness lab occurs twice a day. In the mornings, students pause, meditate, and self-reflect. They bring in their contextual background, their culture, and how it connects to their learning. At the same time, we have brought in counselors. We've partnered with the Johns Hopkins University to bring in an integrated counselor every single year. Now, to battle the stigma of families and how they feel about counselors and therapists, we've asked the families to tell us what their needs are, what their students need. Our counseling approach is differentiated and scaffolded. Some students will receive one-on-one counseling, some students will participate in restorative circles, and some students will participate in trauma-based learning. We really wanted to know what families needed and what they wanted their students to do in the school building. Students at large and families said they wanted students to know how to learn. In our Learning to Learn block on Fridays, students build study skills, metacognition, and executive functioning skills. However, kindness does not stop at the student. It flows into our adults as well. To quote our very own deputy superintendent, if an adult cannot tell us why you can work in our community, then we have a lot of work to do. Our adults ignite the torches that students bring into our school building. They pave the way for our students to use their self-reflective skills, to weave them and use a tapestry of skills that they build into the rest of our school.
All right, so you see at Elevate, we don't wait till high school to tell them about the future. We start now. We start now because we know that our students are so passionate and they're so excited about the future. At Elevate, we combine academics with real-life experiences. So what that means is our students get to explore career and trades in ways that resonate with their age. At Elevate Academy, we provide art education, we provide physical education, and we provide swimming lessons. And all these skills is just to help them build confidence and wellness. At Elevate, we teach digital citizenship. We teach self-reflection. We teach self-awareness. We teach effective communication. We teach emotional intelligence. And most especially, we teach them how to be kind, how to love, how to be compassionate with one another. Because we understand that these skills are very essential to navigate themselves within our school and the real community with purpose. But we do not do this alone. At Elevate, we partner with top companies such as the Johns Hopkins University and the Lansing Hughes Community Center. And these organizations, they help provide our community with powerful resources. At Elevate, we inspire, we listen to the needs of our teachers. We listen to the needs of our parents. We listen to the needs of our community, and most especially, we listen to the needs of our students. At Elevate, we are so passionate, and we want to ensure that all our students, regardless of where they come from, are able to be capable, strong individuals that will make this world, our world, a better place.
At Elevate Academy, students are not going to sit in desks all day quietly answering questions out of a textbook. Our exploratory learning model is an active learning model where students get to ask questions, think critically about content, engage in debate, and work on projects collaboratively with their peers that connect to their lives and their communities. Now, in order to be successful in a model like this, the skills that students are learning in the Kindness Lab are essential because in our model, relationships, risk-taking, compassionate decision-making are part of the learning process. So, we need students to feel safe within themselves and with each other to be able to persist through challenge and really work together to learn. We know they're going to need support. We know they're going to need individualized attention and small group instruction. So we've invested in a co-taught model for all. Every classroom has no more than 20 students and 2 teachers. And students with individualized education plans will receive their services alongside general education students. And our multilingual learners will receive their services as well through a push-in model of support during core instruction. Through a residency program that Johns Hopkins University has, one of our partners, we will be able to staff our co-teaching model in part with teacher residents. They make a 2-year commitment to teach in our school and learn the craft of teaching in our context with our model. And that will create a pipeline for us to retain those teachers as full-time certified teachers. Students will not receive traditional grades, but will be using a reflective standards-based grading model, which has us assessing students along a continuum toward mastery on their skills. It actually puts teachers, students, and families in partnership over the assessment process to build agency and collective accountability for the learning. Students will use their metacognitive skills to be able to self-assess using data from our assessments and set goals for their individual progress. And this is all supported through our data-wise improvement process that you'll be learning about very soon. Finally, we know that one period of ELA and math is not going to be enough to make the gains that we need to make and believe that our students can make. So every day we have literacy and numeracy lab. These are small group targeted and differentiated groups where students will be receiving support in the areas of growth that they need. So everyone receives the intervention period, but what they're doing will be different, whether it's phonics-based instruction or inference-based intervention to build comprehension. We will know we are successful when our first cohort is going to go from 5% proficiency to meeting the district average of 33% in ELA and math. In year 2, as 7th graders, we will push those students to have a 60% proficiency rate. And in year 3, when they're 8th graders and ready for their pre-AP courses, 80% will have reached proficiency in ELA and math.
Now, let's meet our babies. If you can hear me, can you all say Ezra? Ezra. Ezra? Ezra. All right, y'all. So let me tell you about Ezra. Ezra dreams of becoming the mayor of Baltimore City one day. At Elevate, we believe in that dream. So we make it our mission that by the time Ezra graduates middle schools, that he has the skills, he has the confidence, and he knows our heart is going to be in order for him to be a leader that leads with compassion and kindness. How are we going to do that? Well, whether that is Ezra learning how to problem solving in his math or science class, or Ezra learning how to self-reflect, or as the ambassador in the Kindness Lab, working with his peers on learning how to be a co-agent of change in the school community, or self-reflecting in the Kindness Lab. Ezra also learning how to swim, right? How many of you guys know how to swim? You see? So research shows us that Black and brown children are the least amount of people that know how to swim. So therefore, in Elevate, we make swimming required by all the students. By the time they graduate, they have to know how to swim. In that swimming class, Ezra are going to learn how to fail. And you know what? It's okay to fail, but you gotta know, you gotta keep going, right? Ezra's journey starts here. Now, let me tell you, when Ezra first came to Elevate, he was shy, unsure of himself, and definitely was really scared of math. And he thought, because he's not good at math, he could not be a mayor. At Elevate, we don't just do the regular model. At any other schools, Ezra would just be placed in a co-teaching model. Not only we do that too, but we also place Ezra in a numeracy lab, in which he will work on building his conceptual understanding, his numeracy skills, and also work with his peers that's going to be cheering him on so he doesn't feel scared to ask questions when he doesn't know the answer. I read his IEPs. I also know that just because he's performing 2 grades below level that's not a reason for him to think he cannot be a mayor. At Elevate, we don't just believe in his dream. We believe that Baltimore deserves bold and brilliant minds. So that's why we are working on shaping the mind and nurturing the hearts of all the next leaders of Baltimore City.
Okay, so let me talk to you about our teachers. So it's not only our students that we want to cultivate kindness with, it's also our staff, right? Because that's where it starts. We know that one of the things that staff and teachers need is time. Okay, so we have created a schedule where we have given time to our teachers to work collaboratively, because we know that for schools to be successful, teachers need to work together. We need to ask the questions, answer the questions, and investigate what our students are doing so that we can make the right decisions and put the right things in place to make sure that our students are successful. So to do that, we have incorporated specific time in our schedule for our staff to meet. It starts on Monday morning, where our staff meet to get an overview of the week. They find out important bits of information that will make them successful for their scholars. It's also a chance for them to build community and culture. Okay, we've heard from other people today how much community is necessary and is needed in our community. So we then move on to our content staff, and we have given them an hour each day for them to meet with their teams to use the data-wise improvement science for them to investigate their scholars' work to make the right judgments to make improvements. Not only that, we have a grade team meeting where academic staff and pastoral staff will meet together where they can triangulate data. So we're not just looking at academics, we're also looking at the whole scholar, the whole child, so that we can make improvements to ensure they make the gains that are necessary. And lastly, we have incorporated an early finish on a Friday, which will give us time as a whole staff to take part in PD, professional development, that will help our staff to really ensure that we have the right intent, the right implementation, and the right impact for our instructional core and our curriculum programs to ensure that our scholars at Elevate Park Heights are making the gains that are necessary for them to be successful within our school building and beyond.
Let's talk about the resources, the money. So in our planning year, we thought it critical to ensure that we collaborated with our parents and our community members to make sure that what we wanted to do in Park Heights wasn't going to harm students. So with the assistance of the world-renowned Lorea Martinez, SEL guru, Teaching with the Heart in Mind, the Safe Streets Initiative, the Baltimore City Mayor, Mayor Scott, amazing. Parents and our founding administrative teams, we got together to ensure that the curriculum that we were wanting to utilize, how we wanted to build kindness, what that looked like in our community, was going to ensure a good start for our school year.
So, teachers and staff and educators are important. So we need to hire the right people. As mentioned before, we really want to partner with our community. So we are going to involve parents. There will be paid staff for us working in our intervention labs and our kindness labs and other initiatives that we have. We are also making sure that we are asking the right questions at interview to make sure that we have the right people on our team, okay? To do this, we are also employing 2 teachers from the Heart in Mind organization that will help us with our PD. They will work with scholars, they will work with staff, and they will be embedded in our community to make sure that the programs that we want to offer are running successfully. So we have ensured that on average around 70% of our budget on each year has been designated to hiring the right people, sustaining the right people through relevant and impactful, culturally responsive and academic PDs. And as well as that, making sure that we are using some of that money to appreciate our staff as well with some wellness activities and so forth to make sure that people are really feeling the heart in our environment.
This is our school building. It's the former site of Langston Hughes Elementary School, and it's been closed since 2016. So breathing life into this space with our dream school is literally and metaphorically what we mean when we say elevate.
Kindness isn't a moment.
It's our mission. Let's elevate.
Not done yet. Not done yet. Not done yet. We have a few questions for you. Can you all hear me? Okay. All right. Perfect. So one, I have so many questions on here because I was just so engaged. So I'm just trying to temper it down into one major question. The intentionality and decision to root your school in kindness really resonated with me. So thank you for making the trip and learning about that city and what the needs are. Also noticing that you all dedicated about 60 minutes of your schedule towards your kindness labs. So ensuring that your theme, through 2 blocks, right? Ensuring that your theme is actually, there's time allocated for it. My question for you all is, with all of the intentionality and the planning and the allocation of resources and time, how are you measuring kindness?
Okay, so we have really been intentional to make sure that kindness can be broken into distinct skills that we can see scholars actually doing. So when we think of like walkthroughs and lesson observations, we will be looking for those intentional interactions, collaboration. We will be looking for our scholars to be making decisions, to be calming down, so we can actually measure over time if that's actually working or not. So it's actually tangible. So we're going to be doing that through surveys with the scholars, through lesson observations of teachers, walkthroughs. It's something that you are going to witness. You're going to feel it and you're going to witness it, but you can see it. And you can teach into that as well. So, you can break down communication into distinct skills that you are actually teaching and that you can see and you can monitor in the classroom and out of the classroom. So we're really intentional about that.
Awesome.
So just to add in, for a actual numerical measurement, we've also, in terms of our adult staff, we've taken the Danielson rubric, have taken our kindness indicators and have triangulated the language around to make sure that when our walkthroughs and teacher observations do happen, it's in terms of what is the teacher doing, but also how is the student responding to what the teacher is doing in terms of the 3 kindness indicators.
Thank you so much. Just one quick offering. I had the pleasure of leading at a middle school, and kindness is probably the furthest away from what middle schoolers are focused on at that moment, which is why this is such a great idea. Just thinking about your external impact, ensuring that you have metrics that is outside of just what you're observing. So thinking about suspension rates, what your baseline is, what your goals are, and that will be something that you can really help external stakeholders to understand the impact of the programs that you're implementing.
Thank you.
First of all, great.
I'm sorry. Can I just respond very quickly to that? When we did our initial outreach into the community, we also looked in 2 feeder schools that are next to Park Heights because there are no middle schools. So we looked at the perception surveys. We looked at student and staff relationships, but we also looked at how students are engaged within the classrooms. That was our initial reason why we did choose kindness, because they were extremely low to the district. So those are the metrics that we will be using.
First of all, great job once again. I love how you're responsive to the community, that you went to the community, you talked to parents, you talked to stakeholders. That's really big for a new school to do, and you did that work, and so excellent job on that piece. My question is around the academic goals. The first year you have very ambitious academic goals. What if those are not met? What changes do you make going into year 2?
We're going to be relying heavily on the data-wise improvement process, which we've been studying here at SPA. And we believe we're investing the amount of time that teachers need to actually do the process with fidelity. It's daily. So teachers have a collaboration period daily with their teams. So essentially, we're going to be looking at our data through our assessment cycles, which will include quarterly benchmarks as well as our formative assessments in classrooms and 6-week kind of formative cycles. And we'll be setting goals. So we feel that we'll be making significant improvements through that process, which has been successful in many other places. We feel like we're making the investment that we can make, and I think we can only go forward. So we'll move to reach our goals, and if we have to adjust a little bit along the way, we will, but we want it to be ambitious rather than, setting the bar at a mediocre place.
So you know how I feel about kindness. So thank you so much. It matters. Appreciate that. You talked also about cultural responsiveness, which part of that is real high expectations for students, for all students. And so I want to find out, what is the process for the principal as the instructional leader to ensure that classrooms are rigorous across content areas because you have such a strong goal?
Absolutely. So we are, our curriculum is going to be scaffolded. It's going to be assessed. We're going to dig deep, and we're also going to be intentional about the people that we hire to implement our curriculum. That planning year is critical for us. This school, in this particular location, with this demographic of students and the proficiency levels being so low, we needed to be intentional about the manner in which we attacked in the instructional model and the manner in which we invested in the kindness. And so making sure that everyone is aligned, resources and professional development, but and also for me, inspecting what I expect. Getting into the classrooms, doing walkthroughs, being visible in the hallways, checking in, having an open door model, but also being in the classrooms. I mean, that's the core. And so I can't expect my team to do what I won't do.
Thank you. Thanks to the, just echoing what everyone has said. My question's really around the attendance and the chronic absenteeism, and I do applaud the initiative around kindness, but your data shows that there's been a history, and also with the proficiency rate. So if you could just speak a little bit to what that engagement will look like as well, attendance and chronic absenteeism.
I want to thank you for asking that question, because the attendance slide is the one I took out. So one of the main community outreaches that we have done is, what do successful schools in Baltimore City look like? When we looked at high schools, they were schools that offered trade opportunities, AP classes, and the arts. Now that's in high school. When we also looked at those schools, they were highly selective. So Baltimore City students were really not entering these schools. In order to mediate that, we are now offering these pre-programs in our middle school. When we looked at attendance data in those high schools specifically, they were about 20% higher than the rest of the district. So in incorporating these tracks of doing these mock trade opportunities that Johns Hopkins University is bringing in, the readiness or the preparedness to have our middle school students take pre-AP classes by 8th grade, and these arts program, we are tackling absenteeism in that way. We have students that are connecting their culture and their contextual background to these frameworks, and so students are actively engaging in this work during the day and throughout the day and in their external environment. We hope to bring these, not we hope, we are going to bring these percentages way up.
And I appreciate that. I would just hope, kindness, hope, all of these things, and mindset take time. So just thinking about what's the contingency plan, or what are the, making sure that you're measuring how we're going to make adjustments and not getting discouraged, because it is going to take time. Changing hearts and minds takes time. And then, as my colleague said, how are we going to measure and continue to revitalize if we're not seeing the impact that we want?
Thank you. Just to add about the absenteeism, we found that one of the major barriers to attendance in Baltimore, which is an issue across Baltimore, is transportation. Baltimore is the only county in Maryland that does not have busing. So students are relying on public transportation, which are buses. Students reported that the buses often skip their spot or just don't come. And so we're trying to remedy that by providing busing for all of our students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. So I hope you've enjoyed our first half of our presentations. We have 2 remaining schools. But first, before we go into our intermission, many of you know that we're streaming live on YouTube. And so I want to give a special shout out, and if we could all give a shout out, we have individuals that have signed in from Saudi Arabia, India, and we even have a watch party from Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Thailand. So let's say hello to our people out in YouTube live world. So the world is a much smaller place now that we're able to do things like this. And so I want to welcome you back in 10 minutes. We're going to do a 10-minute intermission. And so we'll ask you to come back promptly so we can hear from our final 2 presentations. Thank you very much. See you in 10. So, I'd like to welcome you back. We have only 2 remaining schools that will be presented. I want to just take a moment to tell you a little bit about the process. I gave you an overview of what happens from start to finish in the program. Now I want to go just a little deeper to tell you about the new school design process. So our students get their applications, as I mentioned before, in December. They get these as individuals. And so what some of you may not know is that behind the exhibition that you just saw and then the presentation, there's an entire process where our students get an actual charter school application and complete it as a team. And so many of these exceed more than 150 pages of design work behind the scenes. And so much of what the judges are referring to are items that they've already read about. And so this gets turned in to our judges on Monday of this week. That was turned in to them. And our students are now doing the exhibition. What is really the easiest part of this process is the exhibition and the presentation. So over the last 8 months, they have been in teams working diligently to come up with these designs. And so part of what I've done is try to steward the process through a lot of frustration on their own. They would come to me and ask me questions like, Dr. Perkins, can we add this element? My response is, can we? There you go, see? But I am pressing for them to take ownership and step fully and boldly into their leadership. And it's not an easy process. For some, I have to drag them kicking and screaming. And for others, just kicking. So this process is one that you have to understand that while we've had a couple of thousand graduates since its inception at this point graduate, it is not easy. When students start this program, it may sound crazy, but the first thing I say to them is, listen, there are easier, faster, and cheaper ways to do this. The fact that you are here tells me that you have very high expectations for yourself. And then I say, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Because I have often referred to them, and I gave them a reminder this past week. I wrote an article called Winning Isn't for Everyone. And the fact that they are here shows their intellectual curiosity and their commitment. Because for most of these students, they're not going to go into places where the students are already performing on grade level, or that they're the ones that are getting all the accolades, although they may deserve it. They're going into some of the toughest contexts, educational contexts that you're going to find in this country. And so that's what we think our children deserve, is that the best and the brightest, not just where people who have a lot already, but the best and the brightest go to the places where they're needed most. And that's who you see in front of you. So I just want to congratulate those of you who have presented so far again for a job well done. Thank you. So our students at the end of this, so we have a few things that are coming. So the judges, once they take their notes, they're going to go back to the judges' room, and they're going to discuss the results of what they've heard. And so I always like to think about this as, American Idol meets America Got Talent mixed with Teachers College all together. That's what's going on here. But seriously, this is not a competition between our students. What this is that they are competing actually with themselves. is that I keep pushing them and asking them to do designs that are innovative and worthy of consideration for school districts all over the country. They get to choose where they're going to place this school. They're required to actually talk to people in those locations. So they do a lot of research. And so for those of you who are watching, these are not real schools. Because every year I get parents and community people in these places call me and say, when is that school opening again? The truth is that we have birthed in SPA over 40 schools that didn't exist before now exist in this country because it came out of this program. So they have an actual application, and I'd like to say that it's about 90% of the way there. But they have an application that they can then go and with another design team, if they choose, go to the city, the community where they are, and submit that for consideration. We actually have 2 students I'm proud of that, and there may be others out there, but there are 2 that I know of that are at the final stages that just finished in the last few years. And one has just opened a school this past week, who they all know. Her name is Nandi Edward. She is in Atlanta, Georgia, and she served in the first half as the instructional assistant for this course, gave them a lot of good feedback, and so she just opened her school, Simple View Academy in Atlanta, just this past Monday, and a lot of it came out of her experience at SPA. So I know she's watching, and so we're just proud of her. So she recently graduated from the program, and then we actually have another individual. She graduated here in New York. And then we have someone who's now serving as the instructional assistant for the summer part of the program, and it's Dr. Christine Keck. She's here. And this is one of what I call my COVID babies, because, actually both of them, because they started the program right during the height of COVID. And so she finished, and she's just been approved for a school to open next year in Atlanta, Georgia area, she's doing great things. She came straight out of SPA and was running marathons and did her doctoral degree at Vanderbilt, and so we're really proud of you also, Chrissy. So we have a lot of students that we are proud of, and they're out there. You've seen our judges, and this is not just a program. I tell them that getting their master's degree here at Columbia Teachers College is kind of the side of, that's just you happen to get your master's degree when you go through this program. What you actually get is a life-changing experience. We consider this a leadership development program more so than just going to graduate school. So they'll tell you that this is not about writing papers, although they do write papers. It's not just about writing a master's thesis or something like that, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But here, we are preparing them for the practice of school leadership. And so what you're here witnessing today is, instead of a master's essay, they actually engage in this kind of work to prepare themselves and the communities that they will visit for their kind of leadership. And so this is, in fact, their culminating exercise, their culminating requirement is the New School Design Project. So that's where they are. When we finish, the judges will retire to the judges' chambers, so to speak. We'll have a short break. I'm going to ask you not to get too far away, because the judges are going to go and they are going to decide on 2 things. One is they'll decide on a school that they consider to be the best new school design. That's based on the application, the kiosk presentation out there and their presentation here. So they'll select a school that will be considered the best new school design. If it warrants it, they will decide that there is a school that should receive the Innovation Award. I have to tell you, that's been awarded less than 5 times in the history of the program. So that is a really high bar. They have to see something, not necessarily just in the presentation, but in the application that's feasible, realistic, and achievable in the school. And if they find a school and they determine a school to get that coveted Innovation Award, they will decide as judges to award that award. And then another coveted award that is available is going to be from the rising cohort. That group of students will vote from the 2025 cohort, will just vote on what they feel to be the best school design, and it's called the SPA Cohort Award. So the SPA Choice Award, I will. And so you will receive those after the presentations are completed. Check your emails. Your ballot will be in those emails, okay? Okay. So without further ado, our next group to present is Rosedale Technical School.
Good morning. My name is Rakia Ware. I'm the principal. Welcome to Rosedale Technical Middle School, located in my hometown of Rosedale, Queens, New York. Now, Queens in the house. I'm going to tell you 3 fun facts about myself. Fact number 1, I actually never went to school in Rosedale. Sad fact number 2, that's because District 29, where I grew up, where Rosedale is located, has no public middle schools. Fact number 3, don't you worry about me, I passed the test. If you're from New York, you know I passed the specialized high school test, and I attended and graduated from Brooklyn Technical High School. Any tech nice in the house? I attribute that to my middle school that I went to. I had to travel outside of District 29, and I had to take 3 buses just to get to middle school.
Thank you, Principal Rakia. So, our mission is to build a school in Rosedale, Queens, that's centered on personalized, social-emotional, and project-based learning, all through an echo-based lens. It's our vision to establish a school in Rosedale that will empower all District 29 students to thrive in academic elite spaces, including New York City's specialized high schools.
Now, where do all the offers go? This map shows the concentration of where most specialized high school acceptances go today. So last year alone, only 1 student from District 29 got into Stuyvesant. And it's still the same from 20 years ago when I was in high school. That was me in that orange circle, the 1 student coming out of District 29 to attend a specialized high school.
Now, Principal Rakia attended Brooklyn Tech. And looking at the student demographics of Brooklyn Tech in 1980, we see that 50% of scholars at this school were Black. Fast forward to 2024, this number has dropped to just 5%. Now, the SHSAT, or the Specialized High School Admissions Test, is the singular vessel that allows scholars to get into these high schools. Currently, citywide, Black scholars are only passing this test at a 3.5% rate. Now, what does this mean? Specialized high schools grant access to opportunity. When we're looking at data that shows the amount of specialized high school graduates who go on to get their degree from universities, 85% of them do so successfully. Compared to District 29, where Rosedale is located, only 40% of scholars go on to attain a college degree.
So we began our new school design by first tapping into the community. So we went to Rosedale, Queens, and we spoke directly to students, and they shared their middle school experience. They said that there was, across the board, a missing thread in their middle school experience, and that was social-emotional learning, personalized learning, and project-based learning. One of the students mentioned, "I think emotional learning is a missing component of middle school." This insight affirmed us that we needed to construct a school that was academically rigorous, but also with a strong foundation in social-emotional growth.
When we went into the community, we spoke to the parents, and our Caribbean parents got so excited that one parent even jumped out with a typically Jamaican proverb that says, "Every mickle, mecca, muckle." That means that every bit of guidance adds up, and Rosedale will provide that guidance.
Nosotros escuchamos a nuestra comunidad. So in response to the community needs, we have incorporated nature-based learning into our school. What does this mean? Nature-based learning is the golden thread that is going to weave our 3 C's together: project-based learning, social-emotional learning, and personalized learning. We are also paying tribute to the Lenape people who were pushed out of this land by Dutch colonizers in the 1600s, and extending our classroom and bringing our students back to this space to continue their learning. Our students within our classrooms for project-based learning will be repurposing materials and create partial hydroponics labs in the classrooms. They are planting microgreens, and they are practicing financial literacy by selling these microgreens in local farmers markets. Personalized learning is beautiful in our school, and why so? Through Innovative Hour, which is once a week, students select their own projects. They choose projects that are near and dear to their heart, projects that make changes in the community, such as addressing flooding issues in Brookville Park, sewage problems around Rosedale. They work with a facilitator and conduct research to implement these projects back into the community. If you've taken a walk with a family member, a friend, or a colleague, you know what walks do. Especially when you're in nature, you understand that nature works much like our emotions do. They are cyclical. They work like the seasons. And when students interact in nature, they learn that organisms interact with one another, much like they need to develop with one another socially.
Now let's talk about our instructional core. How are we going to do all these beautiful ideas? Through our curriculum, we will be using Amplify for science. For math, we will be using illustrative math, and for humanities, we will be using expeditionary learning. And for our STEM, we will be using Project Lead the Way that vertically aligns with the specialized high schools. Now, how are we going to do this for our instruction? We will be using project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, and also differentiation to best support every single need of our students. But how are we going to assess our curriculum and our instruction? Well, we have qualitative measures such as student work samples, conversations with our students, and teacher observations. When it comes to quantitative measures, we have NWEA as our universal screener. We will be using state tests to ensure that we are revising our curriculum and our instruction. In addition to that, we have our student portfolios from our Innovation Hour, and we will be using the DESA Mini to support our SEL needs. Not only are we using a comprehensive amount of assessments, but we are also ensuring that our instruction and our curriculum is cyclical, just like the nature cycle.
Meet our 8th grader, my niece Colette. She's in the 8th grade, and she has dreams of going to a specialized high school just like her auntie. So we designed RTMS to have 4 majors fashioned off of the way the specialized high schools do it.
So I am Mariel Reyes, and I am the Director of School Climate and Culture. And here at RTMS, we take social emotional learning very serious. For this reason, we have 2 blocked periods at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, where students are able to engage in SEL practices through our CASEL curriculum. But also, we have vertically aligned with our specialized partner, Staten Island Tech, to do technology. What is technology, you might ask yourself? Technology focuses on the S component of social-emotional learning. It gets our students to talking because developing interpersonal skills is very important. And here, tenemos aquí a nuestros estudiantes haciendo un círculo restaurativo donde ellos pueden pausar, pensar y hacer direcciones.
Now, it's also important to recognize the academic achievement of Rosedale's elementary school scholars. When looking at Science Regent test data, 4th and 5th graders from Rosedale significantly outperformed both district and New York State averages. But what happens when there is a gap in middle school education? When we fast forward to high school statistics, scholars in District 29 are significantly underperforming specialized high schools. So how will we close this? As Colette enters her STEM classroom, her teacher is utilizing a Project Lead the Way curriculum, guiding students outside to the local park. As students enter the park, they're able to identify plants and bushes that are invasive to the community. After this identification process, they're then able to replant native bushes, flowers, and organisms in the community and in the park. Colette is even able to track the data from this planning cycle and add it to her end-of-the-year portfolio, which she will present to classmates and community members at the end of the school year.
All right, so now we have Colette, and she is in her integrated Kotak Humanities class. Colette's personalized learning goal is to improve her frustration around reading. In this moment in time, they are in the humanities class, they are doing guided reading groups. They're reading books like When I Was Puerto Rican, but actually Colette is reading A Long Walk to Water, which has a lot of science environmental themes, especially water access. While reading, Colette is focusing and she's doing her best to apply the decoding skills that she previously learned in her grow period. She comes across the word aquifer and she's remembering, she's getting a little frustrated, and you know what? She decides to step outside and she decides to pause, feel, and choose. She affirms herself, I can do this. I have the skills and I can do this. She remembers that QU is a digraph and it makes a qu sound. She steps back into that classroom and she says, I can conquer this. I can meet my personalized learning goal. And she reads that word. Later on in the afternoon, she comes back to her intervention class, also known as her grow period, where she meets with her learning specialist. And she says to her, you know, I have this word. I did it. I applied the skills. And her teacher affirms her. She pre-teaches her the skills for the next day so that she can go back, look at the vocabulary in science, math, humanities to best prepare her for the next day.
Eco.
All right, so it's Friday, and at RTMS, we're all about unearthing the joy. So this is why scholars like Colette could join our nature-based chess club, where she could thrive with emotional skills, critical thinking skills, and engage in climate themes. Let's take it beyond the step of the chessboard. This is where our RTMS, our extracurricular activities, will have scholars engaging in mind, body, and spirit.
Well, my name is Tyler, and I'm really excited. With big ideas and big dreams, every dollar counts. So why don't everyone say, show me the money. Show me the money. Yes. All over the world, unfortunately, budget meetings look a little something like this, where people are fighting and tugging for every dollar. But here at RTMS, we manage our frustrations by first pause, feel, choose, and we decide to reflect together. But let's talk shop.
Where does our funding sources come from? Three main funding sources: our state and local per pupil funding, our federal funding, and our charter school grants that do not exceed 10% of our budget. Where does our budget drive to? Our people. Our innovation is predicated on small class sizes. If you want high impact instruction, you have got to invest in high impact and good people. And that is why year over year, our budget, the biggest part will be our personnel. Our budget driver number 2 is our facilities. If you want a nature-based learning program, it'd be great to have a building by the park. And you know what? We got one. And it is less than 4% of our budget because we got a steal of a deal. But hey, Will, what are these kids doing in the park?
Well, Tyler, you're putting me on the spot a bit here, but if you remember back to when Colette and her classmates were able to go to the park to identify these invasive and native species, they're also able to create their own self-made water funnels so they can determine the exact amount of water that these native plants need to thrive and blossom.
I'm interested. And our final driver is our inclusive learning community, our students with IEPs and 504s and behavior intervention plans. The reason that this is green is that it's predicated in all aspects of our funding, whether it is our interventionist that does not shy away from students that arrive to RTMS that are not on grade level. We embrace that struggle. And for those students that arrive, we push them beyond it. And it's also in our culture, Dean of Culture, because we know that sometimes our students experience trauma and they lose parents along the way, but we do not push them out and give them to hardworking districts. We keep those kids and we provide behavior intervention plans because you know what? I was that student. I had staff members that were just like Mariel Reyes, our director of culture, that was my check-in partner. And every single day, I did not have the greatest behavior, but I was able to do it. And now I'm the first in my family to have an undergraduate degree, and much like my classmates will be the first in my family for an Ivy League degree. And so will Colette. Our budget is not just functional. Our budget is not just operational. Our budget is sustainable, which means that year over year, we will be saving in our federal and our reserve fund to make sure to ensure that every year that we're not those charters that burn out and lose and close the doors and the promises on our family. How are we doing that? Through an innovative budget model called zero-based budgeting, which simply means that together as a community, after every graduation cycle, our budget advisors, our family come together, we tear that budget down to zero, we look at what we have, and we build it back up together. But we know that resources are not just finite in finances, they are compound and complex and abstract. And we have limitless resources in Rosedale. Principal, tell us.
So we found our limitless resources within, right here in the Rosedale community, with the CASONI, that is the Caribbean American Society of New York. We're gonna partner with them to provide additional SHSAT, that's a specialized high school test prep for our students. That's in year 1 and year 2. We're gonna partner with the
City of Park, wait, those rangers, the Park Rangers.
The Park Rangers of the New York City Parks Department of Recreation. That is gonna be our bridge to the work that we're doing in the park in Brookville. Year 3 is our dream and stretch goal to partner with IBM to bring the tech out in Rosedale
Technical Middle School.
Another place that we found limitless resources is within our specialized high school alumni community. We've partnered, first of all, we have the support of District 29's superintendent, and we also partnered with the principal of Stuyvesant High School and the principal of Staten Island Tech High School. So they were so impressed with the work that they're doing. We got a quote from Principal Mark Erlenwine. He said we need more middle school students that are unapologetically ambitious in preparing students, especially our Black and brown scholars.
Now, how are we going to support our teachers? Through collaborative work, collective feedback, and organized continuous improvement. Now, we have a wider range of books that are related to curriculum, instruction, but also the books that our students are reading. Teachers have agency to choose any book that they desire to read.
We know that the technology is important, so our PDs are multimodal, which just means our educators will be able to rewind, pause, and go back and reflect over time. So if you forgot how we do data at RTMS, you can go back to that. And if you forgot that Rita Pearson said every child deserves a champion, you can go back to that.
Now, not only are our students doing PDSA cycles through their personalized learning, which is Tier 1 support, teachers are also participating in PDSA cycles. Teachers are then turnkeying that information back to the students to promote student agency in the data decision-making process. It is imperative that we keep students front and center so that they know their why as they experience middle school.
We know to look at our beautiful SPED director. We have a system where we provide collective feedback, which means that we film our lessons, we take low inference notes, and we give feedback together. We also analyze our student work. We don't say my student is not at grade level. We don't say your student is honors. We say our students, and we reflect together.
But let's get granular. All right, so how are we gonna do this? We have a 4-year phase program plan. Now, year 1, we are planting the seed. So for example, with personalized learning, we will develop a data team. This data team will then, in the 2nd year, teach those instructional practices of serving interventions for 6 weeks, collecting formative data, and then turnkeying that to go into the next cycle. That will be happening during our data team time. Year 2, they will be growing into a sprout in the departments. Year 3, they will turn that information back into interdisciplinary studies so that interventions are happening not only in math, but also in science. Year 4, we will go into the community and pollinate. Our professional learning communities will be heavily focused on curriculum and instruction. Data team time will be focused on looking at interventions, and our weekly professional development for 1 hour, we have early dismissal on Wednesdays, will support our whole community. Now, we do have an extensive schedule planned for a whole year, but let's focus on September. In September, we will be focusing on developing our teachers and their social emotional skills, because it's not just about the students, it's also about the teachers. When it comes to project-based learning, we are aligning ourselves and creating criteria that unifies everyone so that we can move forward. In personalized learning, we are also using MTSS to best support Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. But how will we measure success? So we are vertically aligning with the high schools and the new Portrait of a Graduate, which has just been released, sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. So our innovation portfolios actually directly align with this new graduate profile. But in addition to that, we have quantitative measures and qualitative measures that support this.
We will know when we're successful through 4 distinct school-wide goals. The first is that if all of our students receive 90% completion on required course credit, guess what? Colette just made the honor roll.
In regards to assessment, we will know that we are successful when students are scoring 70% on assessments at the end of the course. And you know what? Colette, she did it. She affirmed herself, and she has unlimited opportunities.
And when it comes to social emotional learning, I was that little girl that didn't have no meaningful connections in middle school. But here at RTMS, we will only be successful once all of our students built meaningful connections with at least one person in our community. Look at Colette with her counselor.
We will know that we're successful when 100% of our students have a plan for after graduation.
Everyone say congrats, Colette.
Congrats, Colette.
She's made it to graduation, but the question still remains, which school will Colette attend for high school? Maybe it'll be like her auntie and she'll be at Brooklyn Tech, or maybe she'll choose that really great school right in District 29, just down the road. The answer to that question, I cannot tell you, because at RTMS, our students will share their own stories. What I can say is it goes back to our vision that we are preparing students to be able to compete in any academic setting.
You've seen the data.
You've seen the design.
You've seen the potential.
Beyond the charts and numbers.
There is a deeper truth.
Our children in Rosedale are destined to thrive. Our children, now's the time for our scholars to climb.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Entertaining and engaging. Thank you so much for that presentation. And just kudos to your willingness and drive to create access for students and equitable access. So much appreciated there. I have a question about what we're facing in the classrooms, and you talked about MTSS, really important, supporting the needs of all students. The pandemic created a lot of unfinished learning. We also have students with special needs. My question is, with your project-based approach and your goal to get students to have access to specialized schools, what are the non-negotiables from the principal in their observations of classrooms that project-based learning must have in order for you to reach that goal?
So to your question, thank you so much, and I'm so happy you asked that. There's a balance in project-based learning and also explicit direct instruction, right? So if we need to create opportunity, right, there needs to be moments in time for explicit instruction. So for instance, in our science class, they will take explicit time for small group to pre-teach vocabulary. Then during that project-based time, they'll go out and look at and participate in what is this vocab word that I just learned? What is this prefix that I just learned that is in this vocab word? How does it connect? It's multisensory learning. Now, when we're talking about assessments for teachers, we will be using the Danielson rubric, but also we have been using, or we plan to use, the high quality project-based learning rubric, and we've triangulated the two so that they both mesh well together to not only look for high expectation and rigor, but also the project-based learning aspect of it. So thank you.
I don't think I've had so many laughs with budget, Tyler. So thank you. Thank you for that, and for everyone. Like, such a an intentional, well thought proposal. So thank you to all. My question is really around the recruitment. And you did mention that, like, there's been years, obviously, where the mindset has been, we have to travel to get this experience. And so I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to recruitment, not only of the students, but the staff as well.
Thank you for that question. When we did our thinking around that exact existing problem, I'm also a product of that community where we travel, and it's just a widely accepted thing to take 3 buses, travel 2 hours to get to school, right? So we thought about what are the recruitment strategies that we can to switch the mindset to know that we have something good and equality and equity right inside of Rosedale. One of the things that we did is through our community partnerships with Castoni. They're a very powerful organization right within the community, and it's located across the street from where we'll be located. So we actually have like a through line going through Brookville Boulevard. So our school is located in a beautiful corporate space. We made sure to be intentional around where we're putting our school. So it actually has the look, and it's different from your typical school building. It's actually like a beautiful corporate space. They'll be among professional people. There's a beautiful open air atrium. So it's really like a visual and like a feeling that we wanted to bring to our people. That's also gonna be a good benefit to recruit teachers, right? Teachers, in one of our classes, we did discuss the thinking around having a parking space for our teachers. This is something that's not typical. We have those DOE plaques that we have to fight for. That's gonna be a big draw for our teachers as well, for our students. There is a fitness space inside of Cross Island Plaza where we're gonna be located. And so that's gonna be another way to provide wellness. So we wanna recruit and attract our students, our families even, and our teachers, that they'll be able to maintain their wellness right there in their workspace. Then they'll also have that through line going down Brookville Boulevard. Cursoni is across the street on Merrick, and these are main arteries right in Rosedale. And further down the block is Brookville, so they'll be able to maintain their wellness and community within a 10-minute walking distance.
And Principal Cree is the Director of Applications. Let me give you our three-step process to how we are going to increase enrollment here. First is the application goal. We want to have 300 applications because we are entering 75 students. Secondly is we are partnering with our communities. We are going into local churches, we're going to mosques, into temples. And finally, we will be on the gram, we will be on TikTok, and we will also be, if you're old like me, on Facebook, because you will see all of our things. Through these models, we'll be able to get to our 75 goal, and our budget has contingencies just in case we don't reach it.
And just to add on, licensure in New York State, we have the 1-6 license and then the 7-12 license. So if we have a teacher with the 1-6 license, we are going to support them in acquiring the 7-12 license, which is another aspect of our recruitment.
Thank you.
Thank you all for addressing a very specific need in a community that has a historical gap. And for filling that, your concept is very distinct and unique. So as you think about recruitment, what is the ideal teacher profile for implementing this programmatic concept for your school? And as you also consider the teacher shortage, what is your plan to address that when you don't have that ideal profile to fill the needs? Okay, so we really are taking the approach of, we understand that there are opportunities for learning, right? Just like we nurture our children, we will nurture our teachers as well. So we will be providing professional development to help them grow, not only as teachers, but professionals who want to accelerate their careers. So we are willing, we are open, but at the core of it, we want them to have the passion and the love for our students. And in addition to that,
Yes, we also have core values for our staff members, and one of them is just patience. We know that we'll be attracting a lot of neurodivergent students and students with behavioral issues because you'll be able to go outside and wrestle some of that energy off. And so patience is one of the core values that we want with our team. In terms of really understanding how we get teachers, if we don't get there in year one, a lot of our roles are actually cross-functional because we're trying to save that money. And so a lot of our administrators are also going to be teaching. And in that space, we want to partner with other schools. So we want to partner with the New York City men that teach in CUNY as a direct line to bring more Black men into the classrooms.
I also wanted to add that given the fact that we have such an attractive model, something different that you usually see in private spaces, independent schools, I think that will be one of the things that will attract teachers that have been like torn down by the system of like teaching a very traditional way to like be in a space where they're giving their students agency.
First of all, great job once again. I really love the operational goals, especially around recruitment, budget sustainability, the what ifs. Great job with that. My question is around your board. One of the most important things, I know from experience, because I had some not so great experience with this, one of the most important things a school leader does for a new start is a board. And appointing that board is so important to you as school leaders, but also to your school. And it sounds like you have a lot of partnerships within the community, so you're going to need advocates to help you with those partnerships and help sustain you as the school leaders, but also your school long term. Talk to us about your thoughts around your board. Who are you looking at? What process will you take?
I'll start with that. So our board, we really actually want to submit an application for Rosedale. And so we actually have partnered with Dr. Nagel, who is our primary board chair that has supported us, and he's been a former superintendent, with how we actually build a board. In our budget, in our board meeting, we were thinking about the types of board members. The number one, we also wanted a financial advisor. A lot of us are instructional leaders. And actually, when we were building the school, we wanted Gucci uniforms and MacBooks, and I was like, Rakia, you have to take a pay cut. And it was our budget advisors and Dr. Perkins and even our classmates were like, you cannot have 40 kids, Tyler. You're going to have to increase that number. So it is truly like living in the process of SPA and allowing people and our board members to really teach us and take a humble approach and understanding. So we have 4 promised board members. They have 4 distinct roles, and then also a timeline on how they will support us along the way.
And just to follow up, what will be your non-negotiables for your board members?
Be on time. They have busy lives. They are like some of them, so it's like really make sure that your passion meets the passion of the founding team is like the first one. The second one really is our budget is transparent. And so it will be online, it will be in front of community members. And so I'm going to really need you to actually get into the spreadsheet if you are on that and making sure that those dollars are actually going back to those 3 rocks. And then our final thing is to celebrate. We are not going to get it right in the first month. We may not get it right in the first year, but if we celebrate, we will grow every single year.
Adding on to what Tyler was saying, that we have strong bonds and partnerships with Dr. Yu, specifically from Stuyvesant High School. We had extensive meetings when we did our thinking around budgeting for board members, and we also had extensive conversations with Mark Erlewine, who's the principal of Staten Island Tech, and we all, again, lots of meetings and a lot of thinking around the things that we're looking for when we build Rosedale.
Can you hear me? Yes. Buenos días, ¿cómo estamos? Bien. All right, bienvenidos. Nosotros somos Queens High School for Community Economic Development, where we are, get it to me.
Empowered to lead.
Thank you very much for being here with us today. My name is Juan Camilo Tres Palacios, and I am the proud founding principal.
I'm April Valdez, the assistant principal.
Isaac Alcantara, E&O coordinator.
Abigail Braithwaite, Dean of Culture.
Gia Hamilton, Work-Based Learning Coordinator.
And Jalen Saunders, Dean of Academics.
Our school is strategically located in one of the most diverse counties in the United States. Yes, I'm talking about Queens, New York. More specifically, District 24, which is home to one of the largest dual language programs in New York City public schools. More specifically, we have 10 dual language programs in elementary school and 7 in middle school. However, there is no dual language high school. We are honored to be the first. Now, let's take a look at some data. 42% of the schools in District 24 are underperforming, actually at a higher rate than the 38% of the state. We also have 56% of our families coming from economically disadvantaged households. 20% are English language learners. 17% have experienced homelessness. And listen to this, 68% are Hispanic, Latinos, and yet there are 0 dual language high schools until now.
Queen City High School for Community Economic Development empowers multilingual students to think critically, act with purpose, and make meaningful contributions to the world around them. Queen City High School for CED envisions students leading with civic knowledge, building economic power, and uplifting their diverse communities through engaged citizenship. In just a moment, you'll hear my fellow warriors talk about our 3 shields: dual language immersion, civic and economic engagement, and last but not least, career and technical education. Queen City High School will be the first to have community economic development. We are reimagining public school education.
Now that you guys have heard the statistics, raise your hand if you have a student that could fit in that category, or any of them. Raise your hand if you were the student that fit in that category. That's because as we reimagine public school education, we are thinking of you, our families, our friends, and our students. This is our Cameron, all grown up, and he is coming to us from an 8th grade dual language immersion feeder. He didn't really like school that much because he felt like there was no real world application and there was no way for him to connect to his community. That's why he was so excited to come to QC. And you're probably like, how do you know so much about Cameron? Because as Dean of Culture, I pop into his community building time every morning to sit down and talk to him. If it's building a SMART goal, if it's just talking about his night, or if it's connecting with him about the Wellness Hub, I'm just talking to him about what he's doing. We're gonna meet Cameron in various ways, but let's talk about his semester 1. He did really well in Algebra 1. He used all of his analytical skills and his financial freedom life skills, which is a course he's taking all year, to actually go into our experiential learning classrooms. As you guys saw on our kiosk and as you guys see on the screen, there are multiple different ways that we reimagine public school education by adding experiential learning to our days. That looks like them taking a step out of what a traditional classroom would look like and stepping into a space that looks like their community. We're going to take real stores, real banks that look like their community and place them into our classrooms. He's in a bank in this one, and in the one in our kiosk, he's in a grocery store. But either way, they're going to do things like open checking accounts, grocery shop, budget, reflect, think, and act, and then bring it back to the community. Let's see what he's doing in civics.
In civics, he's going to take that knowledge that he built around banking and investing and budgeting, and he's going to put it towards actually auditing a new or proposed business in his neighborhood. So what his team is going to do is they're going to first define the scope and objective of the audit. They're going to create it. They're going to conduct it, and then they're going to gather and synthesize that information and actually communicate with the business. This is hands-on learning at its best.
Not only that, Cameron va a tener la oportunidad de poder participar en el Instituto de Liderazgo Puertorriqueño Hispano en la Asamblea en Nueva York, donde va a poder utilizar sus habilidades lingüísticas y debatir proyectos de ley. Now that is true civic engagement.
Let's get into our first shield, dual language immersion.
So you know Cameron came to us. He had already had dual language instruction in elementary school, middle school. So you know he had to be thrilled to find out that we were going to be opening a dual language school in his neighborhood where he could now study to gain his seal of biliteracy with New York State. Because Cameron knows that employers, up to 90% of employees rely on employees with skills and languages other than English. And to quote the great Nasir Jones, queens get the money. So Cameron wants to be part of those monolingual workers who earn up to 20% more than those dual language earners who earn up to 20% more than their monolingual peers. And in order for him to achieve this, he has to have great teachers. For this reason, we have paired with Bank Street College of Education to create their first bilingual and special education teacher residency. So what that's going to look like is we're going to invest $15,000 into model teachers who will host these residents in their first year, and then in their second year, these residents will become in-service teachers. How do we keep those teachers? Studies show us that with residents, up to 75% of them remain in their in-service placements for up to 5 years.
Not only that, we understand that dual language requires a strategic modeling. This is why we're partnering with Dr. Jose Medina, who's one of the leading figures in dual language research and practice. What does this mean? This means that at QC, dual language is not an add-on. It's actually linguistic justice, not only for the students that come to our school, but also for the parents. As a matter of fact, Mom, can you please stand? I know that it has been very difficult for you to navigate high school, and you were not there in my high school career, not because you didn't want to, but because there were not the linguistic access that you needed. That's why at Queen City High School, we're also partnered with District 79, Adult Education, so they can provide ESL classes, and you and I and other families do not have to go through the same process.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
Ma.
I'm proud of you.
Yes.
Next, our shield is civic and economic engagement.
So at Queen City High School, we truly believe in the power of experiential learning. That gives students the opportunity to ask themselves and answer the question, how does this skill and this standard not only apply to the real world, but who I am right now and where I want to be? But also, we know that that takes time. That's why at Queen City High School, we have created a schedule that has 90-minute blocks for all core contents. How are we going to create and develop teachers and support them in this rich instruction? Research has shown that these types of block scheduling has given teachers more time at their learning objectives, but also experimenting with different and various teaching strategies that really is what we want to do through experiential learning. How are we going to support our teachers? Meet Ms. Rubio. She is our 9th and 10th grade dual language certified language arts teacher. That means that she teaches Spanish, and English. She's going to be able to take a step back from the classroom on Wednesdays and become a learner herself. She's going to have 55 minutes of grade team meeting and prep, and 60 minutes of department meetings, data literacy using the DataWise framework, and as what we call C-block, which is cross-curricular planning. That's all it is. We just had to do that. So I know you're asking yourself, so it's a non-instructional day. Teachers are in planning. They're improving their teaching strategies. Where is Cameron during this time? This is really the opportunity for Cameron to apply everything he's been learning in his core contents and really become an engaged citizen. He's going to start his morning in the Wellness Hub and the Innovation Hub, where he's doing things like using inequities that he's researched on food access and SNAP resources to families in his community, figuring out why are there injustices in my community, and writing a petition to the state legislature, which then in the 11th and 10th grade, later in that afternoon, he's going to go to these work-based sites. Sometimes it might be Albany, sometimes it might be Queens, but he's going to actively be an engaged citizen on these Wednesday afternoons.
We know there is no such thing as a perfect school design. And quite frankly, the best way to set that up is to think strategically about the way we use our time, the way we tap into our resources, which are our people, and most importantly, how we spend our money. So, for the first year, starting year one, we will be allocating $8,400 roughly, or $8,467, to produce the perfect teacher. I know it sounds really weird, but how are we going to do this? We're going to host PDs. So through AIM, we'll be focusing on developing SEL practices that can be worked in a classroom, as well as self-reflection and one-to-one coaching. Through the Council for Economic Education, we'll be using them as the resource for our curriculum in financial literacy, as well as developing capstone projects that are perfect for our experiential learning platform within financial literacy. Beyond that, we'll be working with Dr. Jose Medina in terms of our ENL services and how we're actually incorporating dual language literacy within the classroom. And finally, the Society for Experiential Learning. They're working with us directly to develop a coursework that can be used practically. Here we have Ms. Rubio actually presenting a class in the middle of Times Square on civics. So that's truly innovative.
So at Queens City High School, as I've explained through C-Block, cross-curricular planning is at the heart of our instructional model. So what that means is my job as Dean of Academics is to provide our instructional leaders with the framework on how do I find spots in my curriculum that show up in other disciplines, and how might this allow students to see how this applies to their real life, right? So when thinking about if I'm in math class, how does combining like terms help me fund my business. This is what we will be doing during cross-curricular time. We will be using a framework called the cross-cut curriculum, which uses working with knowledge, technology, and information, working in and with society, and working with others, which will be used during our Wednesday C blocks time, where you have civics and language arts teachers working together, and our math and financial literacy.
Last but not least, we've got our career and technical education shield.
Cameron is invested in his community. All around him, like many New Yorkers, we're seeing our communities taken right up from under us in the name of job creation, affordable housing. He's watching stadiums be built in the name of what? Cameron said, no more. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. I want to be at the head of my own. So he's going to go to CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies to learn about how he can be a social justice warrior. He's going to earn industry certifications in community leadership, public administration and policy, or organizing and social change through our partnership with College Now. He can earn up to 16 credits, which will help him before he gets to college, but ultimately save him about $24,000 as he's able to transfer these credits to any four-year private school across the country.
It is the summer before Cameron heads to Syracuse. He just graduated Queen City High School. Go Warriors! During his time at QC, Cameron has built quite the portfolio that is directly aligned with the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. Through our dual language immersion program, he earned his seal of biliteracy, which positions him to earn 20% in the private sector. But that's not enough for Cameron. Cameron wants to apply his civic knowledge from the College Now courses. He's been to the state assembly, and his experiential learning with the Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute has empowered him to create a sustainable economic development nonprofit that not only helped him with his capstone for the Seal of Civic Readiness, but also earned him a Tech and Innovation Challenge Award through the Queen's Economic Development. Cameron is extremely proud of the work that he's doing and the meaningful contributions he's made to District 24 as an engaged citizen, and we are proud to have him as the first graduating class of Queen City. He truly exemplifies our vision of a Queen City, leading with civic knowledge, building economic power, and uplifting his diverse community.
Many have given up on public education.
We have not.
We are the blueprint.
All right. Excellent job. I particularly loved the portrait of a graduate. It really, if I was sending my child to a high school, it kind of sets that vision for the future. So great job with that. What does special education look like at your school? And how are you all supporting scholars with disabilities?
Well, on our admin team alone, we have 3 special educators, so we will be helping out in that aspect as well as running the building for year 1. But we're also, with our teacher residency with Bank Street, we'll be earning residents who are studying both bilingual and special education, because we will need that marriage of skill.
That's great with the experience, but what does it look like for the scholar?
Well, because the residents will have to work with a model teacher for the first year, every classroom almost functions as an ICT because we have 2 teachers in every single room. So our students who may have learning needs and learning differences will experience differentiation, as well as support of having 2 teachers in the room. And that's just for those who may have the needs, but they may not be documented. For those who do have needs in placements for ICT, we will have those classrooms available for them, as well as smaller settings such as 12 1-to-1 as mandated.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit more? Thank you again for your presentation. And Queens would be so happy to have you there with all that you're bringing. Can you talk more about advanced placement courses at the school and how you can provide that, but also, to my colleague's point, access for multilingual learners and students with disabilities?
At Queen City High School, we believe that all students should have access to AP classes, and this is why we have designed a follow-up through process where we will introduce AP courses not only to the students but also to the families. Many times I myself went to AP classes and did not know what I was going to embark into. So preparing the families to know what are the expectations, but also giving them resources for them to be successful. Checking in the middle to make sure that they are actually feeling comfortable, that they have all the tools that they need, and towards the end, assessing how successful did they feel throughout the process. But again, we believe in AP for all in our school.
Thank you all. It's clear that your goal is to ensure that your graduates are prepared for the next step in their future. I was really intrigued by the data that you started off in your presentation, identifying the middle schools and elementary schools that are already in the neighborhood. I would like to know more about the academic data from those schools as a feeder pattern. And once you are identifying where your scholars are coming in at, how are you addressing those gaps and enriching for those who are already meeting goals?
So we were intentional about choosing our curriculum that provides real tier 1 intervention. So our core curriculum is strong. Number one, to provide the supports. When students come into our school, we want to, of course, check the NYCE's LAC to ensure and to know what their linguistic level is. Number two, we want to check as to whether or not there have been interrupted education in their lives, or whether or not they're SIVEs, but using the SLM exam. This will also let us know what do they come in with. So from there, we can diversify into our MTSS model.
Can I ask a quick follow-up? What does credit and course recovery look like to ensure scholars stay on track?
So we'll be following their course accumulation really closely, one, because they have really detailed requirements for both the seal of biliteracy and the seal of civic readiness. So this is something that during those Wednesdays when we're coming together as a team, we'll be going through student data, not only just their assessments, their formative and summative assessments, but also how close are they to being ready to achieve these seals, right? So this is something that we're doing ongoing all the time. It's not going to be a quarterly thing or even a yearly thing. We're still working out the kinks, but we definitely are going to have a system in process for us to keep that at the forefront. How are they meeting these credits?
Thank you. And my question is kind of adding on to that. So you mentioned all of the students that are coming from the variety of the dual language middle schools. We know that you have Wednesday. Wednesday is like the whole day for like interventions. What if that's not enough? Have you thought about like, what if that's not enough support for them to be successful?
So the day before, we've intentionally placed 1 hour of professional development so that when we partner with Dr. Medina or we have in-service collaboration with our CBOs for training, that will take place during that hour professional development. In addition, and in prep for Tuesday collaborative days, looking at data, so not just summative, formative, but also looking at credit hours, making sure that students are on track for their projects with our CBOs. So that coupled with the Tuesday collaboration time or professional development time, we hope that will be enough for our teachers to be developed.
Also, having the framework for experiential learning means that we get to play around with the assessment type, right? Because not every student is going to be brilliant on a bubble sheet. Not every student is going to be great at writing essays. So we get to have our students learn how to perform in Socratic circles, how to use their artistic talents and things like that. So with our experiential learning, when they're doing all these hands-on things, as you saw in our model and in our school bank, we also have those alternate assessments in ways that alternate assessment has not been used before. So our students of all levels of learning get access to showing their mastery.
And I have one follow-up wondering about the rationale for choosing Bank Street as a partner.
We knew.
That's our rival school.
I'm curious.
We knew you were going to say that. That's because TC doesn't yet have a bilingual residence. They do have the teacher residence fluency, but not bilingual. And Bank Street just started their TESOL and are working out the kinks for the rest of the bilingual. And because we need a unicorn. Secondary, you need bilingual content. We need all the things. So we wanted to go with a school that was already working through this.
You
But I
might want to consider City College. I think they might have some programs, but based on the staffing shortage and the needs, you might have to include or encourage additional institutions, because there are people through the multilingual advocacy work that might be willing to partner that are even close by, just to expand beyond. You could even have it at teachers, bring it up with Teachers College to go to up to speed.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for that.
Let's give a round of applause to It's okay. Thank you very much. So at this time, I'm going to ask the judges to exit and go to the judges' room. And as I mentioned, we're going to have a brief intercession admission. And so what we'll do is we'll come back in probably 5 to 7 minutes, if all goes as we have in the past. And we'll be right back with the announcement of our winners. You can put them. We don't know yet. You can still just put them out, and just put a little sticky next to them or whatever that tells me which is which. Or yeah, a piece of paper. Okay, we're going to begin in 1 minute. Ask you to take your seats. Just need to ask everyone to take your seats, please. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure there are a lot of anxious people, but I have to say that there have been this has been a great summer, and there's been no shortage of excitement, no shortage of energy, and I have been honored to be just a facilitator in the room with such great educators and minds thinking about the best of what can be for our children and their families. And so, without further ado, I'm going to announce the teams. I have some other announcements and some parting words. So at the end, just ask you to just kind of resume your composure if you can and come back to your seats. But I'm delighted to let you know that we have a Spot Choice Award, a Best Overall NSD design, and this year we do not have a Innovation Award, but we do have the two other awards. And so the first award will go to for the Spa Choice Award. I'm going to ask you to come on the stage and receive your medals. These are medals that will be allowed to be used in the commencement ceremony next year. And that Spa Choice Award is to Rosedale Middle. Go to the center. They will take your picture. They're gonna get pictures in the center.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah, they're gonna get pictures in the center. In the center. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Congratulations. There you go. Congratulations. There you go. Okay, thank you. And so the award from the judges for the best new school design is Elevate. Come. Come.
Thank you.
Here you go. Come get it.
You guys.
Come get it. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. There you go. Congratulations. So, there you go. So just a quick word about logistics. Afterwards, we have a reception. And so just to tell you how you're to proceed for the reception is to exit the main doors here, go to the corner, take a left on 120th Street, and halfway down is another entrance to the building, and it is at Zankel Hall. You'll see it just a half a block down from this location. So just as you go out, take a left, and you'll see it on the left-hand side, and they're set up now for our reception. And so let's just congratulate all of our students again. There are no losers, only winners, but the ones that benefit most are the children that these brilliant educators will go and have the real challenge of transforming lives for families and others. And so it would not be it wouldn't be fair for those of you who are getting ready to leave not to have one last talk from me. And I will say, as I've said so many years in the past, is that now that you all have received arguably the best education possible for school leadership, now that you've developed yourselves over the last 14 months, you forego your right to complain. People are now going to look to you to solve problems. You are not going to have someone else to turn to and say, where do we go? What do we do? You're the person now. And so we're going to look and expect great things from you. And it's not going to be easy, as you've seen. There are a lot of times when you're going to hope that someone else will just pick up the mantle and carry it, and it's not going to happen. I told you this year that you don't get to have a bad day. Because if you have a bad day, children lose their lives. I want to encourage you to have a kind of creative impatience and understand that this is the only year that these children will have kindergarten, 2nd grade, 5th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade. They only get one shot at this. And so you have to make sure that you have done everything possible to see that they succeed. I was so fortunate that I had leaders and teachers in my life that really made sure that despite all the things I did to myself to make sure I failed, they would not let me fail. And so remember that even though sometimes they show up with foul mouths and smart attitudes, You're the adults and they're the children. And it doesn't matter how tall they get or how much hair they have on their face and how they dress, they're still children. And so you have to be careful, compassionate, and understanding, because my grandmother used to always say they didn't ask to be here. And so it's our job to take care of them. The German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer said that you judge a society by the way it treats its children. And so I want you to think about where that places you. That places you at the center of how we will be judged 100 years from now. Because they're not going to remember all the, the stuff that we did in SPA, but they're going to remember how you transform lives in the communities you're serving. And so when you might be tempted to take a little time and figure out how you want to do something, just remember that these children and their families don't have a lot of time. They don't have the luxury of time. You cannot just assume that you can make 1 year of progress and be okay. That's not okay. Remember, I told you, you have to make 1.5 years, 2 years of progress every year, because your job in most cases is to catch kids up. And so 1 year of progress is not acceptable. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the charge. That's what your responsibility is now. And so, again, I've said it time and time again, stop talking, do something. That's what you have to do. We already know, and for those of you in the audience, the research is clear about the things that we know that we need to do in this country to improve the lives of children in our schools. We already know. And we don't need another blue ribbon panel. We don't need another longitudinal study. We know what we need to do to help these families. And so your charge is to stop talking about it and do something. I want to make sure that when you leave these halls, your instructions are very clear. We are moving forward, and we are not the talkers, we're the doers. I want you to know that for me, people come to me and say, you have a friend in me, I'm your ally. I don't need allies anymore. I need co-conspirators. And that's what I feel I have here in this 30+ number. I have some co-conspirators, and that means that if we have to march, if we have to go to jail together, whatever it is that we are going to conspire together to make sure that the lives of all the children we touch are better than when they met us. So with that, I hope to see you all prosper and do well, not just because I said so, but because they need you to do so. And so until I see you again, go well, stay well.